Hi! Today we're going to show you how to use the Candi-Band creator. Today we will be making the I Heart You Candi-Band bracelet. One by one, pop the beads into the bead holder following the template. Once you finish with the first color, move on to the next. Continue beading until your pattern is complete. You will begin weaving your Candi-Band bracelet on the right-hand side of the tool. Select one of the pegs on the ring. This will be your starting point. Wrap the last inch of the longer side of elastic cording around the indent on the selected peg. Wrap the cording around 6 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Pull it tightly and then hook the end of the cording underneath the slot on the first peg of the purple ring. This will hold the cording in place while you make your bracelet. For this particular project, the orange bead is the first one that I will be threading. To prevent the cording from falling out of the needle, hold onto the eye as you weave. Once you are done threading the first bead, push the needle through the second bead that sits above and to the left. For this design, my second bead is purple. Pull the cording all the way through. Then, thread the needle through the bead that is to the left and below of the previous one. In this case, the white bead. Pull the cording all the way through and then thread the needle through the bead that is above and to the left. Continue this pattern of weaving up and down until the first row is complete. Once you've finished weaving the first row, pull the elastic cording tightly and hook it underneath the slot, down and to the left of the last bead woven. Once the cording is secure, begin weaving the next bead below the last, in this case, the blue bead. Note that as you continue to make your bracelet, you will weave through some beads that have already been woven. Next, push your needle through the bead slightly above to the right, in this case, the white bead. Then weave the needle through the bead to the right and below. Continue this pattern until you have finished the second row of your design. Once you reach the end of the row, unhook the cording from the slot on the left-hand side. Pull the cording tightly until the loop is pulled all the way through the row of beads. Hook the cording underneath the slot below and to the right of the last woven bead. In this case, the orange bead. Then, thread the needle through the bead directly beneath the last woven bead of the second row. Rotate the bead holder forward as you weave, so you are always weaving in the front. Continue weaving the same pattern until you've reached the end of this piece of elastic cording. Remember to hook the cording underneath the slot when you reach the end of a row, and to remove it once you reach the other side. Always pull tightly before moving on to the next row. When you've almost reached the end of the piece of cording, pull it tightly, then wrap it around the closest peg 6 times. Hook the end of the cording underneath the slot so that it stays in place. It is important to pull tightly and make sure that the cord is secure in its position. There should be one blank peg between where you started and where you ended. Take another piece of cording from the pieces you cut earlier. Wrap it around the peg beneath the peg from the previous step. Hook the cording underneath the slot below. Thread the other end through the bead weaving needle. Continue to weave your Candi-Band bracelet following the same steps as before. Repeat these steps, weaving up and down through the beads until all of your beads have been woven with elastic cording. Once you have finished weaving all the beads, you will need to tie the cording wrapped around the pegs together into a knot. I'm going to start with the beginning piece of cording and the end. Pull the 2 strands that are next to each other tightly. Make a loop with the 2 pieces of cording and pull the ends through. Do this twice, pulling tightly to ensure that your knot is as tight as possible before you tie each double knot. Once you are done with the first knot, move to the second if needed, then third, fourth, etc. Cut off any excess cording after you've tied the knots. Hold the tool vertically and beginning on one end, slowly snap the beads out of the bead holder one by one. As you pop out each row, roll the bracelet over the bead holder. If you are having trouble, ask an adult for assistance. Flip your bracelet inside out. You have now completed your first Candi-Band beaded bracelet. Don't forget, for more templates, visit us online.